I've used a 150 rupee mic, but this is also very early days.
Sure. This is not like information that people know about, is it?
Time, money, knowledge. You can make up for the lack of one with any two.
Can you define what a label is?
I mean, what a record label does essentially is
Fundamentally, why we are indie artists and why we support the idea of it is the DIY factor again. And then I sort of like played drums around it. Right?
Side.
My mom is an Indian classical singer, so I join her. Plateauing itself is such a big deal, I think, for me. Hello.
It's happening. It is finally happening.
How's it going?
Thank you for doing this beautiful house.
Thank you for being here. Hosting you.
The first time where Ritviz, you actually began to create music and you sort of had a moment where you realized that, okay, I think I'm going to do this as like my profession.
I think the memory that I have in my head, the very early memory of like expression itself, right? But I think maybe I was like 4 or 5.
Right.
My mom is an Indian classical singer, so she would do like Sunday riyaz, right? So I'd join her. And then I think me doing this organically rather than her coming to me and being like, hey, you need to join, I think created a nice environment for me. It was like, okay, this is interesting enough for me to join.
Yeah.
And at that point, obviously, there was a lot more following to do. There's so much, it's Indian classical.
Yeah.
But I think eventually, I think they reached a point where I'm like, okay, there is something bubbling up inside of me. I need some of this also out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think it was like around that age where I started like composing stuff, which I didn't even know you don't really know you don't keyword it. It's just stuff that is like, it's like a diary entry. It was a hard contrast at home because classical music was like the primary set of influence.
Yeah.
But there was also like I'm hitting early teens, so we're listening to hip hop and rap.
Right.
We're listening to all of the top 40 stuff. So wo bhi ho raha tha. So because this was such a hard contrast, I was very intrigued about both worlds. But the expression that was calling for me was in the like the stuff that I saw in the West.
Right.
When this came about, I started rapping. Yeah,
So Ritviz used to be known on the street, amongst he had street
on the
cred.
street.
Wow.
He had street cred in
don't do
Pune,
this. Don't
and he
do
went
this.
by the name MC Richard.
Yeah. Yep. The app response.
This is not like information that people know about, is it? I've never heard MC Richard.
I'm glad.
Well, he's on YouTube. And you can find him if you search the right things.
Yeah.
Discipline training in music happened.
Yeah.
And that was you growing up in an environment that also encouraged that.
Yeah.
Which means that like you've had those many repetitions. So I think like for also students to understand that doing it continuously and building a process around it and constantly being at it is very critical. One of the things that I've constantly thought about is if I had 5,000 rupees, I have 5,000 rupees in my pocket, I've saved over a period of time, gotten enough pocket money to save 5,000 rupees. I want to enter this category or this industry. Somebody starting out, what should I buy? I have 5,000 bucks. Bro, like, what's the move?
A standard is set with a lot less to spend on today.
Right.
It's crazy. Like I think the first mic that I've used a 150 rupee mic.
Right.
But this is also very early days.
Sure.
But it did for me, the idea was that like even when I talk about like Skull Candy headphones, like I don't use flat frequency even today. Like I don't use monitors because I got comfortable on those. So it's about whatever you're using, whatever resources around you.
Yeah.
Realistically speaking, like if you get comfortable with it, you also end up training your ears and your,
Right. So would that be like a laptop? Would it be a mic? What would it be?
A good laptop, I think, would be a very like.
You're not getting that in 5K, right?
You're not getting that in 5K. I was just about to get that.
Yeah.
So that is if you have the privilege to like my folks supported me.
Right. Okay, let's assume that like there's a North Star. I'm a student now. Now I've understood that if I need to create, I need a bunch of shit. Maybe it's not 5K. Let's assume that it's not 5K for a second. What all do I need to create? Like
Frankly, just a laptop.
Just a laptop?
I mean, that could be all you need, but it
Also
depends on what you do.
who you are.
Yeah,
and what
depends
you
on
do
what
and
you
the
want
kind
to
of music
create.
you want to make.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Like,
It's only getting better, right? Now you have
Yeah.
the same like workstation on your phone also.
Yeah, got it.
People could
But
be
I mean,
producing on their phone.
you could want to be a live musician.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
like
can.
you want to be a guitarist, you buy a guitar.
Right.
But,
Yeah,
So as an
uh,
like we'll keep it to the context of our conversation, which is to say, like if someone's to create music like Ritviz, in this case, which is to say you're producing like electronic music in some sense, and you're working on a laptop.
Yeah.
And that's, so if I...
That's your hub.
Got it. And if there is like is there a necessity for it to be a specific laptop, or can I do this across whatever? I know you're comfortable with something,
Yeah,
but that makes
yeah.
sense.
I want to answer your question in a few different ways. One, if you're a young musician, you have 5,000 rupees, put it in the f***ing bank. Go to one of the venues in your city. In your city.
Yeah.
Tell them that you can put up a show and perform there. Maybe they give you 5,000 bucks, but put that also in the bank.
Right.
Right? Go to make 10 other calls, dude. Get more money.
Spoken
This
like
is
a
so-
true businessman.
Earn enough money to buy that laptop.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
You
Banking.
will not be able to buy it in 5,000 bucks, but what you need to know what you want, right?
Yeah.
And you need to figure out how the fuck to get there.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
I
true.
think that's the thing, right? Like it's it's very funny. Rahul only sent this to me a few days ago, but there was this video we saw on Instagram, which was time, money, knowledge. Any two of you can make up for the lack of one with any two, right? And here's the thing, right? Like if you have limited money, spend a little bit more time, invest that time, gain the knowledge.
Yeah.
Like he said, in a lot of ways, that ends up also taking you to a point where you're making more money eventually, and you can reinvest that into your art smartly.
Yeah.
There is no hurry. There is a hunger that comes when you're younger, that comes with a time frame in your mind. Even as a manager, even as an artist, as an entrepreneur, as whatever the hell you're doing, there is a part of you, if you're ambitious, your brain is saying now. And nobody in my life has seen that as much as he has, right? Of me like waking up at 21 and being like, I want it now. I would be the best manager today, right? Retrospectively, it makes so much more sense, right? And for all of us. And so that's the thing, right? So if you spend that time saying, you know, like I'm going to get very good at what I do. And I'm going to spend time really making sense of my industry, being like, I'm hungry to understand how it works. Like you're talking about the economics, you're talking about the art, all of it.
Yeah.
Immediately you're putting yourself in a place where tomorrow it's easier because you've taken your time to get that money.
Yeah.
You're in a position where it's not 5,000 bucks, it's now 40,000 bucks.
I love that.
And you
I think
can
that's
split it.
awesome.
Yeah.
Like that's a great way to look at it. It's not about the 5,000. Yes, I did say 5,000,
You
which
give
is
us a problem statement.
yeah.
We changed it.
Can we take like a minute to explain what are the different kinds of roles that exist? Because I know what the three of you do, and I see that clearly, but I know that there is so much happening in the backbone of this entire play as well. You need different kinds of people to make this reality come alive. And what could like young people apply it when they think that if I'm a part of like an artist's life, these are all the different roles that I could play.
You know, when you say an artist's team,
Yeah.
you have manager. You have a manager who's essentially like overlooking everything. Then you have more specific roles like a PR person, or a touring manager, or a booking agent, or a social media manager. It's many roles. I think today, back in the day, it was mainly live oriented. Today, there's obviously more digital roles that exist. But then you further break this, go down, and then when you go deeper into the live shows, then you need an engineer, a sound engineer, you need a light engineer, you need a visual jockey, you need a content creator. That team could be endless. The roles could be endless, in my opinion. It really depends on what you want, how you want to structure it.
Can you define what a label is? I don't know what a record label does.
See, I mean, what a record label does essentially is it is an entity in the music industry that holds rights to musical IP.
Right.
Right? That is what the traditional definition of it was.
Yeah.
Back in the day, if you were a musician and you were making music, you needed a label because the label held the distribution methods, the label had all the marketing money.
Yeah.
The label essentially had the entire business control.
Got it.
The reason why I say it's redundant is because the digital era changed it.
Right. Absolutely.
They took the power out of the label's hands
Right.
and they said, now this power is in everyone's hands.
Yeah.
A lot of labels will also upfront some of your costs.
Yeah.
Understood.
So your marketing, production,
Right.
getting you into. I'm saying different people do it differently. Different
Yeah.
labels will do it differently, right?
Yeah.
So now let's say you're a child and you're starting out and whatever, and you don't have that. There's that 5,000 conversation.
Got it.
You have those $5,000, right?
Got it.
You can either do what all of us were saying, reinvest it, grow, do all of that. A lot of people have also found that for them it has worked. Whatever we may believe or not believe as any people, that it has worked to find a label that says, listen, you know what, I got you for the first 2 years.
Understood.
What the repercussions on that are, we can all debate for,
Fair
that's
enough.
another podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, that's,
So interestingly, I want to know your opinion on
Yeah, I
this,
was just about it,
which
yeah.
is on as an artist.
Yeah.
Do you see that as something that limits you or something that makes you?
So I think philosophically, I think here that's where I think Rahul and I connect. Like fundamentally, why we are indie artists and why we support the idea of which is the DIY factor again. Like the fact that you have every sense of you own your music. This is your music. You made it. Why you made it. Everything is you're executing a vision. You have a team that is executing your vision,
Yeah.
and it ends there, right? I do, and I'm lucky to say that I've not been in a position where I've had to find like a compromise there.
Right.
You know, which I think I have had people tell me about when certain labels have been a part of, and that's why we hold a bit of a strong opinion here. But like, you know, it can also work for you. I think
see,
what
that's the
Meher
thing,
was
right?
also
Like,
talking
I'm,
about.
I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not, this is not even a belief conversation.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
not what I believe in.
Yeah.
Independently, we all have certain opinions.
Yeah.
Independently, we will all advise people in a certain manner.
Yeah.
Right.
Obviously, based on the situation. I'm not even saying like straight up, I'm just going to be like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? But you have to pay attention to situation. It would be incorrect of any of us to say that it's never worked for anybody.
Yeah. Sure.
Oh,
sure.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
the thing, right? Like, as indie artists, it is also a privilege
It is a privilege.
to be able to have that control over what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not everybody in the world has the
That's
comfort
started
to
with,
say
yeah.
that, listen,
Yeah.
I'm not tempted by it. I'm not influenced by it. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
work like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
You're
I
just
get
putting
it.
like reality, like the lens of reality on it and saying, listen, with all of these factors considered, these are my options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can hold out. I can say, and with anything, any decision we all have to make in our life, I can say I can hold out for 5 years and I can wait to do it the way that I want to do it, which is this
Yeah.
way. For example, the way by talking, right?
Yeah.
But that takes a certain amount of like, yes, it could be hard. Yes, it could be, you know, like it could work in a certain way. It could take 5 years. It could take 10 years, whatever it is.
Right.
I could also say, based on my situation, this deal seems like it will get me a lot closer, and we are nobody to say that like that person's wrong, because that's what works for them,
100%.
right? So
Sure.
as a label mechanism,
Yeah.
it is something that you also have to see why you're doing it, what your end goal is,
Yeah.
what you're comfortable with.
How do you define industry standards?
From a pricing
From
as
a pricing
an
point of
artist,
view as an artist. That's right.
I think the deserve is too tough to like kind of look at it from that lens.
Sure.
Price keeping your experience in mind, price keeping your current situation. Where are you? What do you require? I think pricing should always be secondary at an early stage. What's more important is what are you getting out of it? Is this worth it? I'm okay to settle for a lesser fee, but because I'm going to get something really cool out of it.
Right.
There are questions you need to ask, and you have to do what feels right first. At
Right.
first, right? Like it cannot be कि यार मेरे को पैसा नहीं मिल रहा है तो मैं नहीं करूँगा. Then you are shutting doors for yourself way before they even open.
The industry works when everybody is doing well. So your booking agent, your venue, your whatever, these are all stakeholders that over time you work with, right?
Right.
For them, if it's a loss when
Yeah.
you're younger, just because you're like, I should be paid this, one or two guys will do it. They'll incur a loss. They'll never revoke you, right? And he used to have this thing of like, when you talk about deserve, what you actually maybe deserve is what you're able to also generate, right? So if I'm going to a venue and I'm saying, listen, I know I can sell 100 tickets, even if it's like friends, family, whatever, I know 100 people will come and watch me.
Right.
The monetary equivalent of it is really what you're saying, that like my art can pull. So nobody in the industry is taking a hit.
I see. Yeah.
Just
that's a great
you
way to.
being up there doesn't put you like higher.
Today, if we are going and trying to book a show for him also,
Yeah.
I mean, we're not just saying that we deserve this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're justifying why we ask for this.
Yeah.
Right? We do ticketed shows, self-produced shows
Yeah.
on a regular basis to also keep gauging where we are at, what are the
Right.
numbers we're
Yeah.
pulling. If we were to go out and do a show on our own, would we even sell those many tickets? It's important for us to do that from time to time.
That's
right
your
now.
reality check. It's like, listen, like actually,
Yeah.
I'm not making anyone suffer.
Yeah. Because you can go and say, hey, I want 50,000 rupees.
Yeah.
Somebody will, because I have 5 members in my band and everybody needs to make 10k each.
Yeah.
That can't be a reason for someone to
Yeah.
pay you 50,000 bucks. If
Yeah.
you're absolutely unknown, let's just say, right?
Ideally, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
in an ideal world, yes.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not. That's not where we live.
Yeah.
Like somebody needs to also, it's a business decision for someone, right?
Yeah.
Tickets, how many?
Yeah.
I can pull in, we are 5 members in this band, we are going to call 10 friends of ours each.
Yeah.
We will bring 50 people.
Yeah.
Right? Those 50 people will pay 500 rupees at the door.
Right.
Right? Which means this much money.
Right.
They will all have one drink each at least.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And that would mean another 500 bucks per person gone.
Right.
Now, I mean, we might not be that big an act to be able to raise sponsorship, but maybe the venue has that relationship or has that existing association with certain brands, and they can, there's a possibility that, hey, this is a really cool night. Can you take this to a sponsor and be able to, get your money in?
Right. Right.
Dude, if a venue is able to like take care of these things and these things are checking off, why the hell would they not pay you the money?
I think both of us, I mean, both the business side and the creative side, it's top-down way of looking at it, right? Like, it's just like, okay, product comes first, and then we build everything around it.
Let's assume that I'm a student, which has been the assumption of this entire podcast, first of all. But let's assume that I have a track. And I think that it is the next Ud Gaye, okay, in the context of this. But I don't know what to do next. Because I have not actually interfaced with anybody who's an artist manager, or I'm not represented or any of that, but I have the track. Now, what to do with this track? Can you tell me?
I mean, today you can put it out on your own. You don't even need
Right.
management to help you with that.
Yeah.
It's a simple YouTube search how to release
Right.
music on Spotify or Apple Music. And
Got
it's
it.
a
So that's what you're
5-step
saying?
process.
Is that the case? Like, that's the first move that you make? Release it on Apple Music or Spotify or
Put it out
YouTube
there.
or whatever?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Putting
So
out.
what is the ramification of putting it out there? Like, let's say that it goes out. If you were doing like a record label sort of conversation, and maybe there was, I don't know how the money of this works, right? So what I want to understand is, so in that first track, I'm not going to make any money.
See, think of it, don't look at a musician like just a musician today. Think creator.
Right.
If a creator has an idea for a video,
Yeah.
is that person waiting for someone to tell them?
Fair.
No, right?
Yeah.
Musicians wait.
Yeah.
Stop doing that.
Right.
Right? There are creators have killed it.
Yeah.
Right? The influencer marketing industry is one of the biggest grossing industries in the country currently.
Right.
Forget the country, in the world, right? They're not waiting. They're not waiting for a label to tell them that this is good or this is bad.
It's such a solid point, because I think the idea is that, oh, I'll find a label, I'll find management, and oof, that's it.
Boss,
That's my answer to...
The only person that is, I mean, your art needs to reach the consumer. Right? And for that, whatever you need to do, you need to do.
Look at anything that's been launched to the market, any product.
Yeah.
It's sent out, it's tested, feedback is taken,
Yeah.
version 2 comes out,
Right.
right? There's nothing stopping an artist from like your sound changing, from you growing up, from iterations. People have done iterations of the same song,
Yeah.
right? Like, I think the idea that like you are just going to be defined by this one thing you put out into the universe
Yeah.
is holding a lot of people back.
I just want y'all to think about like top 3 things that someone can do to upgrade themselves as someone who is a part of this ecosystem. What would they do?
In any industry and in any field and in any part of the world, like I think knowledge and growing your knowledge is the best sense of growth.
Yeah.
Whether money comes or doesn't come, if this is growing, I think you'll find
Everything else
something
will
to
follow.
do.
Yes to that, but also at the same time, learning from the world is essential, but knowing that that's secondary. You know?
Right.
Yeah. Even if your call could be the wrong one, you still take it.
Right.
It's still you.
Yeah.
You know, building that trust within you.
The idea of staying hungry,
Yeah.
I think that's important, but in a way that you're also still humble.
Right.
You know, like remembering who you are, where you come from, and your clear sense of like why you do what you do.
Yeah.
It's important to like have a goal and be like, okay, I'm ambitious, yes, I want what I want.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like remembering that in a lot of ways, the world is bigger than you.
Right.
Things will still happen, it still moves. You have to constantly find your place in it,
Yeah.
but in a way that is like, it's true to you, and yet it's like you're cognizant of your place in the whole like mechanism of it. But I think it's important, like understanding
Yeah.
that there'll be good days, bad days, but if you have a clear sense of like
Being humble
why,
and
why you're
operating.
doing it,
Yeah.
it's easier to stay like driven, but it's also easier to stay content with like where you're at
Yeah.
and what you have.
You've arrived at a certain sort of pinnacle of a journey that you set out on. You could imagine that this is like how does it get any better than this? Like, it's a good question to ask ourselves, because it's truly what is here is something that the world and the country especially is aspiring for.
I can only hope that I'm able to do this, like wherever this is, whatever this is right now, if I'm able to just do this.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think I no longer. I think maybe at a very early age it was like, oh, I'm going to do this. You know,
Yeah.
list out certain big festivals, this and that. I don't think we talk about that anymore. You know, like our conversations have changed a lot. I think for me, it's just like as long as I can just be here. Plateauing itself is such a big deal, I think, for me. I don't.
Wow.
Yeah, I think
Wow.
you know, it's looked at differently at a different point in your life.
Yeah.
But plateauing is essentially sustaining yourself, right?
Wow. Thank you, friends. Everybody, this is like full, everybody deserves a hug.